Hare Gopi Jana Vallabha. Play the Carlos. Giridharadhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha. Giridharadhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhajikacharya Ashtotar to the Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananda Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Give me a second here. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 23rd day of April 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're in Chapter 2, completing Chapter 2, contents of the Gita summarized, text 72 on page 136. Esha Brahmi Stitihi Partha Nainam Prapya Vamuyati Stit Vasyam Antakalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Want to try? Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Stitvasyamantakaalepi Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Oh, not yet. Okay, you're here, so I can't call on you. Tapasya?
Yes, Prabhu.
Tapas, go ahead.
Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha
Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Sitva Swama Antekalepi
Stitvasyamantakaalepi
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati.
Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha
Esha Brahmi Stiti Partha
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati
Stitvasyam Antokalepi
Stitvasyam Antakalepi
Brahma Nirvanam Richati.
Brahma Nirvana Mrichati. Okay, I'll read the word by words myself. Esha, this Brahmi, spiritual, Stitihi, situation, Partha, O son of Pita. Na, never, Enam, this Prapya, achieving, Vimuhyati, one is bewildered. Stitva, being situated, Asyam, in this, Antakale, at the end of life, Api, also, Brahma Nirvanam, the spiritual kingdom of God, Richati, one attains. Translation. That is the way of the spiritual and godly life, after attaining which a man is not bewildered. If one is thus situated even at the hour of death, one can enter into the kingdom of God. Purport. One can attain Krishna consciousness or divine life at once within a second, or one may not attain such a state of life even after millions of births. It is only a matter of understanding and accepting the fact. Kratvanga Maharaj attained this state of life just a few minutes before his death, by surrendering unto Krishna. Nirvana means ending the process of materialistic life. According to Buddhist philosophy, there is only void after the completion of this material life. But the Bhagavad Gita teaches differently. Actual life begins after the completion of this material life. For the gross materialist, it is sufficient to know that one has to end this materialistic way of life. But for persons who are spiritually advanced, there is another life after this materialistic life. Before ending this life, if one fortunately becomes Krishna conscious, he at once attains the stage of Brahma Nirvana. There is no difference between the kingdom of God and the devotional service of the Lord. Since both of them are on the absolute plane, to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord is to have attained the spiritual kingdom. In the material world, there are activities of sense gratification, whereas in the spiritual world, there are activities of Krishna consciousness. Attainment of Krishna consciousness, even during this life, is immediate attainment of Brahman, and one who is situated in Krishna consciousness has certainly already entered into the kingdom of God. Brahman is just the opposite of matter. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti means not on the platform of material activities. Devotional service of the Lord is accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as the liberated stage, Sagunan Samatichaitan Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. Therefore, Brahmi Sthiti is liberation from material bondage. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has summarized this second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita as being the contents for the whole text. In the Bhagavad Gita, the subject matters are Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga. In the second chapter, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga have been clearly discussed, and a glimpse of Bhakti Yoga has also been given as the contents for the complete text. Om Jnana Timurandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmidatam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer Muhammad obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So let's go back and see where we've come in this chapter. Now this chapter began with Arjuna completing his argument for why he didn't think it was proper for him to fight in the battle, right? And Arjuna was full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears. Madhusudan Krishna spoke the following words. So here, Arjuna has not yet surrendered to Krishna as his guru. And so Krishna is going to speak more or less as a friend, or as, if you read the Krishna book or you read the 10th Canto, some battles, the chariot driver has an important role to play. If the fighter is injured and he has to injured but not killed, they take him off the battlefield. Or in this case, we find to encourage the fighter to fight. If he's not feeling, so he's not. Krishna's not speaking transcendental knowledge yet because he hasn't been accepted as gurus. So what does he say? Kutasva kashmalamedam vishame samapastitam anayajishtam asvargam makirti kadamarjana. The Supreme Personality of God had said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. So this value really should be values, and the value should be spiritual values. The Aryan is one who accepts the spiritual values in life, meaning the philosophy of the Bhagavad Gita, and understands that there's a goal to be achieved in human life, and therefore another phrase that was used in earlier translations, the progressive values of life. And progressive here means progressing from the material plane to the spiritual plane and back to God. And in the purport, we won't read the whole purport, of course, but near the end, Prabhupada says the word Aryan is applicable to persons. Now, there was something left out here. The persons who know the spiritual values of life and thus have a civilization. To persons who know the spiritual values of life and thus have a civilization based on spiritual realization. So that's the famous Aryans. Now, of course, it was misused, those who know history, by the Germans during World War II. But real Aryans means devotees and those who are involved in devotional service. So he's saying this is a big, thing that he says. This is un-Aryan. Un-Aryan means not Aryan. You are not at all befitting a man. They are not at all befitting a man who knows the values of life. They lead spiritual values. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. Now he's not even saying they lead back to God. They lead not to higher planets. In other words, this is not good. just quitting your position here at the beginning of the battle, even before it begins, you've got cold feet. And he'll say that the other heroes on the battlefield won't think that you're doing it out of some principle, what he argued in the first chapter, but you're just a coward, so it'll be the worst thing. So then he goes on with that. O son of Pritha, Pritha is another name for Kunti, do not yield to this degrading impotence. It does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Because Arjuna had a whole history. He was a great fighter. He had fought with Shiva, and Shiva was so pleased with the fight that he gave him a weapon, Pashupatastra, right? It's that whole thing. So Arjuna answered, O killer of enemies, killer of Madhu, how can I counteract with arrows to battle men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship? But this was the main reason. Bhishma Dev was a grandfather figure for all the Kurus, actually, and especially the Pandavas after their father had died and they were kind of orphaned like that, except for Kunti. So he favored them and protected them, you know. So he was very beloved. He's on the other side because he needed to get sustenance to live, so he needed to surrender to Duryodhana. So that's the situation. So Arjuna is like finishing his argument here. How can I will shoot arrows at Bhishma and Drona? They're worthy of my worship. One is his teacher, the other is grandfather figure. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live at the cost of the lives of great souls who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they're still my superiors. If they're killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with their blood. You know, so these are all materialistic considerations, but they're painting Arjuna's mental picture. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live, yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Now this is very revealing, because the sons of Dhritarashtra, especially Duryodhana, they had conspired to murder the Pandavas, the famous house of lac that they invited him to. Why don't you live? We prepared this nice house for you, you know. So Vidura, who was their uncle, he warned them by kind of a code word, you know. So they knew that it was set to be set on fire. So they Prabhupada said they dug a subway, meaning a tunnel. And when it was set on fire, they were able to escape. So then, you know, it's very moving and scene. I remember working, at one point the BBT was going to print the Mahabharata. And so I got to edit the Adi Kanda, that was called, the first part. And that had described them running in the forest after getting out of that house, you know. And they were running, and it was exhausting. So Bhishma took everybody on. Bhima, yeah, they're on the bike. You know that he's carrying them on here, and Kunti's on his back. You know, the four brothers plus Kunti. So they end up in the forest, you know, and I remember this scene, it sticks in my mind. So they have to take rest, you know, it was exhausting. So Kunti's lying on the ground there, and Bhima is looking on. I said, this is so horrible. Here's this queen, this princess, you know, she has to lie on the bare ground, you know. And then some Rakshasas came, right, you know the story. It was all very dangerous. Bhima was able to kill the Rakshasa and everything. So it was a great ordeal that they underwent. Finally come to this. So now after the whole thing, now they finally are in the battle, and now Arjuna wants to quit. You see, this doesn't work. So, but he's saying, and this is amazing. They went through all this. There were conspiracies, you know. They insulted their wife, Draupadi, and they cheated him, you know, out of the kingdom, you know, at the Sabha. But now Arjuna is saying, oh, if we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we would not care to live. But those sons of Dhritarashtra, headed by Duryodhana, were trying to kill them in all different kinds of ways. But Arjuna was forgiving them here, you see. Yet they're still. So then the key verse 7, he changes everything. He surrenders to Krishna as a guru. Now I'm confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what's best for me. Now I am a disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. So this changes everything. And Prabhupada, I don't know if he brings it out here, but the word shishya is rooted on the root syllable shash, which is also the root of the word shastra, which is what we're reading, scripture, which we're supposed to let control us. A shishya allows the guru to be controlled. He agrees to be controlled by the guru's words. He can't argue anymore. And then it's also the root of the word shastra, which is a weapon, which you can get control. So that's very interesting. So now Arjuna has changed the whole relationship, and now the Bhagavad Gita can actually begin. Oh, he has one more lament here. It says, I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like that of the demigods in heaven. So the kingdom isn't going to solve his problem. You know, he's in a quandary here, materially. So now Sanjay comes in and he says, so then Rishikesh, Krishna, and all the names are very important. He's the master of the senses, you know, so he's... And then so finally Arjuna says, Govinda, I shall not fight. Actually he says to Krishna, Govinda, quote, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Then Krishna, smiling in the midst of both armies, not in the midst of both armies, between the two armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So then famously he starts chastising him, which is often what the guru does at first, you know, to establish the authority and kind of get things going. So basically he says, you're speaking learned words, supposedly, but you don't know what you're talking about. Because you're lamenting for what's not lamentable. What is that you're lamenting for? The bodies of your friends and relatives here. Those who are mine lament neither for the living nor the dead. Then this whole bunch of verses about the nature of the soul as separate from the body, culminating in text 20, which is a key verse. Jayate mriyate bhakadachan nayam budva bhavitava nabuya ajo nityak shashvatoyam purano nahanyate hanyamani shiriri. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. Now, and the point is, we are the soul. It's not that I have a soul. I have a body. I am the soul when I have a body. It's important. There's neither birth nor death for the soul. He has not come into being, does not come into being, will not come into being. In other words, the souls that exist are all the souls there are. We're as eternal as Krishna. He doesn't create new souls. You know, that's what this says. It has not come into being. No soul is not coming into being, will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So then he describes in various ways the nature of the soul. And he says death is like taking off old clothes, right, and putting on new clothes. You don't lament for that, you know, like that. So, let's see. So then he describes various describing the nature of the soul. The soul can't be cut, dried, or burned, or withered by the wind, unlike the body, which can suffer all those things. Then he reiterates that. Soul is invisible, is inconceivable, immutable, doesn't change. So he goes on. And so then he's arguing why you should fight in the battle. For those who are born, death is certain. And for those who are dead, birth is certain. So what's the problem? You know, you're not even going to really kill anybody. And plus, it's so auspicious for Bhishma and Drona, because I'm going to be on the battlefield, and anyone who dies in Krishna's presence is automatically exalted. And they're such pious souls; they're sure to get a better birth, you know. So what's to lament for? So along those lines, he goes on. He says the soul is amazing. To see the soul amazing, hear about the soul is very amazing. So then he concludes in 30, O descendant of the body, he who dwells in the body can never be slain, therefore you need not grieve for any living being. But earlier in text 14, he said, yes, there will be some lamentation. When someone we love suddenly is out of our sight, then there's this lamentation. That's natural. So you have to tolerate. Tam tadikshra toleration, you know. And you are able to tolerate if you're steeped in this knowledge and you understand, oh, actually they're not dead. I remember my own experience. When my father died in '87, I was living in Miami. I flew up there for the funeral. My mother was there, of course. And I remember sitting with her, you know, in the apartment before we went to the funeral, and I was just explaining to her about this philosophy here, that, you know, Dad he's still alive. In other words, he's in another situation, but he's not gone. And it was very soothing to her to understand that he's really still there. It's not just annihilation. Then he takes a little different tack, and he says, in terms of your duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that is your duty to fight. You should know that there is no better engagement than fighting in religious principles, and so there's no need for hesitation. In other words, it's not that you're just fighting, but you're fighting on the side of right. You're fighting for the justice, for the reinstating of Yudhishthira. They've been cheated out of the kingdom. Reinstating of Yudhishthira, who is Dharma personified, the son of Yamaraj, actually. So therefore, there's no need for hesitation. So this is all, a lot of this is on the basis of a Kshatriya talk. It's not transcendental to fight, for even material justice. There's things mixed in here. But if you don't do it, then you'll certainly incur sin for neglecting your duty as a Kshatriya. And you'll be defamed, which will be, what could be more painful for you, he says, And these great generals on the other side, they'll just think you left out of cowardice. And, so these are all arguments why he should fight, because that's really what Krishna's main goal here is, to get him back on the chariot. Okay. So then he has this favorite verse, Nehabhrikramanashasti, in this endeavor of devotional service. If there's a door we can close, Mister? There's no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. What problem means there is the most fearful type of danger. Even though the word bayat is used, bayat can mean danger or it can mean that which produces danger. It can mean fear or that which produces fear. What produces fear? Danger. So, mahato bayat. And actually, I was just thinking this morning, I have never thought this before, because a lot of words in Sanskrit, they mean something, and they've come to mean, I think, also that which produces the mercy. With the grace of the Guru, one can get the mercy of the Lord, get the grace of the Lord. Yasya prasadat, bhagavat prasada. But yasya prasadan, and a lot of devotees just sing yasya prasadan nagadikatopi, which doesn't make any sense. Yasya prasadan, which means without the mercy of the Guru, you have no path to the goal. So the word gati is used there to mean both the goal and the path to the goal. You have no way of reaching the goal without the mercy of the Guru. And so the word dharma is the same way. I realize that. Arjuna asks, I'm confused about my dharma. Meaning he's confused about his duty, what he should do for the best for everything, for himself and everyone concerned. So that's why he is karpanya dosho pahata swabhava prichami tram dharma samudacheta. You see? Now in that instance, dharma means what he should do to achieve the goal. But we know that dharma also means the essential nature of something. Just what is it? It comes up in the second chapter of the first canto. Is savai pungsang paro dharma yato bhaktirat hokshije, right? So the supreme dharma is that which produces bhakti, pure devotional service. Now in that case, dharma is the activity that takes us to the goal of pure devotional service, which is really our swadharma. That is the ultimate dharma, the eternal dharma. What we do in our natural state, that's just our intrinsic nature. We've lost that now. It's covered over by Maya. So we have a reflection of the dharma now. Instead of pleasing Krishna, we're pleasing our body or pleasing our children or whatever, So the dharma is the same way. And there, I remember in the introduction, Prabhupada talks about the Sanatan dharma. So clearly that's being situated in your actual function, your eternal function as a servant of Krishna. Not in something taking you to a goal, but you're at the goal. So dharma can mean the goal, and it can mean the way to get to the goal. Just as gati means the way to get to the goal, and gati is the final goal. So it's interesting that Sanskrit has that quality. And here, the word bhaya. Bhaya means fear. or that which produces fear, which means danger. Danger produces fear, right? So that's what Mahato Bayat means. Usually Baya means fear, but not in this case. It means the danger, which is what Prabhupada translated as here. So, very encouraging verse for someone who's embarking on the path of devotional service, and that is that even a little advancement cannot be lost. Whereas anything material you gain in this life is completely lost as soon as you die. You go somewhere else, whatever wealth, beauty, knowledge, fame, it's all left behind. You know, they put a nice memorial for you. You have a headstone, somewhere in some cemetery. Prabhupada, I remember when he saw, I'm telling you, in New York City, there's some huge cemeteries. Literally thousands of people buried there. I used to live there. We had someone buried, I had to follow a map to find it. And Prabhupada said, in India, we don't waste so much land this way. We just burn the body and it's done, Instead of keep burying. It's an interesting concept. But one way or another, the body's finished. And whatever you gain in relation to the body, it stays behind. And you go follow your karma. You leave it. So, but unlike this, even a little advancement, you keep that for your next life. That's the point. We got something going on over there, huh? Okay. So, Svalpamapya dharmasya trayate mahato bayat. Then he talks about determination, vyavasayatmaka buddhir ekeha kodunandana, in this process of bhakti or karma yoga, buddhi yoga. One has to attain this fixed intelligence, you see. And Prabhupada, he refers to this purport because this purport, Vishwanath Chakravarti is spoken because Baladev Vidyabhushan, he was the commentator, but he's quoting from his guru, Vishwanath Chakravarti, see? And that, let's see, what does he say here? Yeah. I forget where it is here. Because he quotes this Yasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada. Yeah. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practice under the able guidance of a spiritual master. This is near the end of 109, the purport, before the verse. Who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student, who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and this is the key line. And one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master, and it's just the one I quoted. Yasya prasada bhagavat prasada, yasya prasada nagati gatovi. So that's what Prabhupada took, and he took it in his heart. The order of his spiritual master, to preach in English, go abroad, and this is the result, the Krishna conscious movement. Okay, then he puts down the concept of karma kanda, going to heaven, small men of small knowledge attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. This is the karma kanda section. But here he says in 44, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam, this is a famous verse. One cannot attain that vyavasayatmaka buddhi, that firm determination for practicing Krishna consciousness, if he's too much attached to bhoga, material enjoyment, and wealth, and whose consciousness has been stolen away by it. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment, material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination for devotional service to the Lord does not take place. So this is a challenge, because in this world, that's what people are after, is wealth and what the wealth can buy, which is bhoga, And if you allow your mind to get involved in that, then you can't practice bhakti nicely. So then he puts down the Vedas that deal with the three modes of nature, the karma kanda. Tri-gunya vishaya Veda. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Become transcendental to the modes, be free from dualities, from anxieties, for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Now this gain and safety is important. Yoga and Shema. Now in the 8th chapter, Krishna says, what's the verse? The last line is Yoga Kshema Vahamyaham. Those are always thinking about me. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting the Sanskrit. and who are dedicated to me. I personally carry what they lack, preserve what they have. Now to live in this world, we need two things, yoga and kshema. Yoga is all facilities you need. You need the food, you need shelter, and all these different things. And kshema is just security, freedom from, if you have all those things, but the army is coming over the hill, or there's a tsunami and the ocean is coming up, it doesn't matter. Now you got to run up to Kate Sessions Park, try to get out of there. So yoga kshema vahamyaham. So if you're surrendered to Krishna, you can be free from anxieties for all gain and safety, because Krishna will provide it. He even says he personally will carry it. Yoga kshema vahamyaham. I will provide what you need, your security and your necessities. Okay, he goes on like this, and we won't go through the whole chapter. But basically, he's, as it says, it's a summary of bhakti yoga, buddhi yoga, karma yoga, acting without, working without selfish motives. And Arjuna says, what are the symptoms of one who's transcended? And Krishna says in 55, 56, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partamanoga. Now he's talking, which he talks about in other verses. The danger is being infected by this material desire, the kama, strong desire for material enjoyment, which then leads to these famous verses, you remember? Dhyayato vishayan pungsa, 62 and 63. Dhyayato vishayan pungsa sangasteshu vijayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodha vijayate krodhat bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti vibrama smriti brangshad buddhinashat buddhinashat panashyati. Like the little acted out on the. While contemplating the objects of the senses, a person develops attachment for them. And from such attachment, lust develops, and from lust, anger arises. Why does lust give rise to anger? Because you can't possibly satisfy your lust. It's too much, and so you get frustrated, you become angry, I wanted that, and you took it, or whatever. So the anger comes, and from anger, complete delusion arises. Prabhupada tells a story of, he knew of a situation in Calcutta when he was living there. One brother killed another brother. Who knows why? Maybe he took his girlfriend or whatever. And so the second brother was arrested and convicted and was going to be executed. But the father appealed to the judge, I've already lost one son, and this is my only son. Please let him live, at least in the jail, like that. This tragic situation. But you can imagine how strong that anger must be to direct it. And it happens all the time. Children kill their parents or whatever, So, in other words, you lose your from anger, complete delusion arises. You become almost mad. You can become mad out of anger. And then you lose your memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, you fall down in the material pool. So what's the solution? I always loved this, 64. Raga dvesha vimuktaisthu vishayan indriyaishchidan atma vashay vidayatma prasadam adhigacchati. But a person free from all attachment and aversion. So this is a great benefit of Krishna consciousness. And we saw I told the story of the six Goswamis, of Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. They were so wealthy. They were the right and left hand of the king, the finance minister and the prime minister. And then Lord Chaitanya came to save them, you see? And immediately Rupa Goswami, the great Sanskritist, Namo Mahavadanyaya, he chanted this words, you are the most munificent avatar, you're giving prema, love of God, And so he ordered them, he told them, okay, you give up your position here and go to Vrindavan, and you write, and you excavate the Lila Stans. And, so they did that. It wasn't so easy, there's a story to get rid. But they were personifying this verse. Free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regular principle of freedom can obtain complete mercy of the Lord. And they got the complete mercy of the Lord. You know, they're living under one tree. It was as austere as possible, from millions and billions of dollars today. They voluntarily gave it up, and they came to live as austerely as possible. The only one who could be more austere and renounced was Raghunath Das Goswami. He wasn't eating anything. He would eat one handful of buttermilk or butter every 2 days, and that was it. He was very thin, you know. But they were all the 6 Goswamis were like that. But they weren't miserable. You know, if someone who's materialistic is in that state, then he's completely miserable. You know, we see these poor homeless guys, you know, they're renounced. They don't, you know, have but they're not blissful because they're not Krishna conscious. There's one guy who, Mercy, I'm sorry, her name is Marcy, but I call her Mercy. She was, she's been attending the class. She's probably hearing right now. Haribol, Marcy. She used to come every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we used to have too. So now she buys books and then she gives them out, you know. So she gave a book to one of the guys who I always meet on my walk here, and so I was saying good morning, you know, because I probably would say good morning to these people, and he would say good morning. And so then he stopped me. He said, "Oh, one of your people came and gave me this book, you know, and I'm really interested in it, you know." Oh, great, you know. So I learned his name, John. I always say Hare Krishna, you know. So then just the other day, he stopped me again and said, "You know, I don't have the book anymore because I read it. I wanted others to get it, so he put it into one of these little library things, you know, the free library. You can get a book by the church." So he put it in there, but then he wanted to reference it again. He couldn't find it, so I'm going to take it, you know. But this is what you do with those things. So he asked me to get. So I gave him 4 small books. You know, he's very happy to receive. So anyway, you can obtain. So a person free from all attachment and aversion, able to control the senses through regulative principles of freedom, can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So this is, and the key here is vidhe atma, which is the regulative principles of freedom. Prabhupada translated vidhi is principles, or yeah, vidhe atma, one who is following the regulative principle, regulated freedom, follows regulated freedom, can get to complete mercy of the Lord. So that would be worth striving for. You can imagine, you know. And then he's talking at the end, these are the benefits. One who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of materialism can exist no longer. In such a satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. So that he's stressing this, fixing the intelligence. Okay, so that's where we are now, and you can see it's kind of an overall view of the book, you know, dealing with it. And then this next chapter is about karma yoga, and for me, the essence of the chapter comes at the end, where Arjuna asks the famous question, Atakena prayukto yam papam charati purusha anicham nabivarshnaya bharadi vinayojita. What is it that, Madhusudan, or Krishna, what is it that forces one to do activities as if against one's own will, that we know are bad for us? Prayukta papam, you know, sinful activities, but somehow we're forced to do it. You know, our intelligence says, don't do it, but you know, we've got to do it. So what's the answer? Of course, it's karma. Back to karma. Kama esha, krodha esha, rajoguna, sambuddha, mahashano, mahapapma, vidyanam hivaitam. This is your real enemy, Arjuna, not those on the other side. Your real enemy is this karma, which is transformed into anger, krodha esha, rajoguna, sambuddha, rising from this mode of passion. Mahashano, all-devouring, sinful enemy of the world. This is where you're at. Mahashano, mahapapma, vidyanam, iyavaidinam. Know it for sure, that's your real enemy. And then he goes on with that, and he describes how overcoming this karma, which merely means sublimating it. The karma, Prabhupada so many times, this karma is simply prema that has been, if you will, curdled by the 3 modes of nature because we've left the spiritual world and put ourselves under the control of the material energy. So bhakti is simply sublimating that karma, purifying it back into love of God. And begins with chanting the holy name. Because it's all attractive. The holy name is all attractive. So we'll begin this, we can begin the next chapter. We'll do 1 verse. Did we do? I don't think we did any verse yet. Arjuna Vacha. Jayasi chet karmanaste. Mata buddhir janardana. Tatkin karmani ghore mam. Niyoji yasikeshava. So before I read the translation, he was talking about, how fixing the intelligence is so important. Vyavasayatmaka buddhi, So now Arjun said, well, what do you want me to fight for? You're talking about intelligence. Oh, Janardana, okay, so why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare if you think that intelligence is better than food of work? Very intelligent, right? Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has very elaborately described the constitution of the soul in the previous chapter, with a view to delivering his intimate friend Arjun from the ocean of material grief. And the path of realization has been recommended. Buddhi Yoga, Prabhupada calls it Buddhi Yoga, which is synonymous with Bhakti Yoga, but it stresses the intelligence. Buddhi Yoga, or Krishna consciousness. Sometimes Krishna consciousness is misunderstood to be inertia, and one with such a misunderstanding often withdraws to a secluded place to become fully Krishna conscious by chanting the holy name of the Lord Krishna. But without being trained in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, it is not advisable to chant the holy name of Krishna in a secluded place where one may acquire only cheap adoration from the innocent public. Arjuna also thought of Krishna consciousness, or Buddhi Yoga, or intelligence in spiritual advancement of knowledge, as something like retirement from active life and the practice of penance and austerity at a secluded place. In other words, he wanted to skillfully avoid the fighting by using Krishna consciousness as an excuse. But as a sincere student, he placed the matter before his master and questioned Krishna as to his best course of action. In answer, Lord Krishna elaborately explained karma yoga, or work in Krishna consciousness, in this third chapter. Okay, we'll read one more. Vyamashrena vavakyena buddhi mohesi vame tadekam vadanishchitya yena shreho yamapnayam. Now, the word eva here really means, maybe it should be adjusted here, it means apparently, like apparently. My intelligence is bewildered by your apparently equivocal instructions. He's not really saying that they're equivocal, he's saying they seem to be equivocal. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. Purport. In the previous chapter, as a prelude to the Bhagavad Gita, many different paths were explained, such as Sankhya Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, control of the senses by intelligence, work without food of desire, and the position of the neophyte. This was all presented unsystematically. A more organized outline of the path would be necessary for action and understanding. Arjuna, therefore, wanted to clear up these apparently confusing matters so that any common man could accept them without misinterpretation. Although Krishna had no intention of confusing Arjuna by any jugglery of words, Arjuna could not follow the process of Krishna consciousness, either by inertia or by active service. In other words, by his questions, he is clearing the path of Krishna consciousness for all students who seriously want to understand the mystery of the Bhagavad Gita. So it seems to be, by stressing the control of the lower self by the higher self, which will come up at the end of this chapter, and the central place in which the intelligence takes, vyavasayatmaka buddhi, that it seems to be the last thing that you want to do is to fight a war. How could you be peaceful and, fighting a war, and where's your intelligence come in? It's more like my skill and my strength and all these things. So it seems to be bewildering. But the fact is that, as Prabhupada mentions here and in other places, that really we work with our intelligence. Even on the battlefield, the intelligence is very prominent. All the skill you have to have with the weapons and, the battle plans, and setting up the different positions of the soldiers for defense. I mean, there's a great deal of intelligence. They even have what it's called intelligence, means spying, right? If we didn't have that spying, we wouldn't know to go. So you have to have intelligence. So anyway, his intelligence is bewildered, he's saying. It seems to be contradictory, or apparently equivocal. So Krishna will clear everything up, and we'll learn, especially in the 9th verse, I think the famous 9th verse here. Yes. Yagyartat kamano yatra that everything we do has to be in the mood of sacrifice for God or Krishna. Otherwise, that work, fruit of work, will bind us to this world. Very important verse, Yagyartha. And this translation. Work has to be performed as a sacrifice for Vishnu. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. I think we're going to try to keep that slight revision of the chant of that verse. Okay, time for a few for dessert. A few nice little sweet poems. So, if you'll allow me, I'll do the Keshavastika. Kevalastika. You heard of it? But you haven't heard my poem, have you? My poetic version. Okay. Modoram Madadevyopi, Mangalevyopi Mangalam, Pavanam Pavanebyopi, Hare Namaiva Kevalam. Of sweet things, it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune, it's the perfect paradigm. Of things that purify, it purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. All right, I'll repeat that one so you'll have the whole thing. Of sweet things, it's the sweetest you will taste at any time. Of things that bring good fortune, it's the perfect paradigm. Of things that purify, it purifies most powerfully. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. From Brahma's realm atop the sky, down to the lowly grass, illusion reigns in Maya Devi's treacherous morass. The truth, the only truth, the name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. He's the Guru, He's the Father, He's the friend most true, and she's the real mother who most kindly teaches you to always chant and hear the holy name of Shri Hari. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Remember that our final breath may come at any time, no matter if we're old and sick and in our youthful prime. So young and old alike should chant the name incessantly. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Lord Shri Hari forever dwells wherever devotees, whose hearts are fixed in Him and free of all impurities, uplift their voices high and sing His name in ecstasy. The holy name of Shri Hari, surely all that be. Alas, what sorrow, what great pain, the worst calamity, for people to forget the holy name of Shri Hari. Although the name's a priceless gem, mere broken glass they see. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Just fill your ears, just fill them with the name of Shri Hari. Just chant the name with all sincerity. Just sing the holy name eternally. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. It makes this world appear like bits of straw upon the ground. Resplendently it reigns, supreme divinity and sound. It's filled with transcendental bliss and peerless purity. The holy name of Shri Hari is surely all that be. Inspired to glorify the holy name of Shri Hari, Shri Nilakanta wrote this hymn in Sanskrit poetry. I pray that those who hear this lowly version made by me will chant the holy name of Shri Hari in ecstasy. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. So you recognize the verses? Yeah. I have a sheet. I have a PDF of different poems. If you like, you can send me an email. Yeah. You know my email? Dravida108. Okay. And also I have a recording I can give it to you. But you already have the recording, at least for that one.